Good evening, everybody. It's November 11th, and this is Cutler on the Let's Talk with Cutler program, the Let's Talk with Cutler broadcast, the Let's Talk with Cutler platform. I'm delighted to be here. I can't wait to have our conversation this evening because I'm just wondering, do you have a voice? Do you use your voice? How do people react to your voice? How do people respond to your voice? I'm just curious. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that this evening. And then I want to know uh, what do you think about the use of the word love? Do you think people overuse it, underuse it, use it too much, use it not enough? And then I'm wondering, have you evaluated your relationships lately? I mean, brother, sister, spouse, friend, coworker. Have you evaluated any relationships? So we're going to talk about relationships. We're going to talk about love. We're going to talk about your voice. Of course, this is the Cutler here on the Let's Talk the Cutler platform, the Let's Talk the Cutler broadcast. You know how it goes. We only have 1,800 seconds to be here. So I want to thank you for allowing me to share the space wherever you allowed me to share, whether it's your living room, your dining room, your car, your kitchen, the family room, wherever you are, out on the deck. I'm just thankful that you gave me this opportunity to share the space. So I want you to do me a favor, as you're coming on in the room. Why don't you just give a thumbs up on the conversation? That lets YouTube know that you like the conversation, you like what we talk about. It also encourages me, lets me know that I'm kind of on track with what you expect to hear and the kind of dialogue and the content that you're looking for. I'm just going to shout out our LTTC VIPs for just a moment. I want to see who's going to be the first to join us in the chat this evening. Do me a favor. If this is your first time here, why don't you go ahead and like? Why don't you go ahead and subscribe? And then after you subscribe, click on the bell below because the bell just lets you know whenever I show up on YouTube that it gives you all those kinds of notifications. All right. So again, go ahead and like the conversation. And we're only here briefly because 1,800 seconds sort of flies by. Time flies when you're having fun. We're basing our conversation on this book, Billboards to Better. 366 daily sources of motivation and inspiration along the highway of life. You can get it from Amazon.com or you can go over to my website, gbcutler.com, and pick that up. But again, it's a pleasure, it's a delight to be here. So I want to go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Thank you for the thumbs up. I think there's one also right under the screen as well. So right under the screen, you see a thumbs up, thumbs down beside the share button. Go ahead and do a thumbs up on that. So meanwhile, let me just tell you who our LTTC VIPs are for the evening. I'm delighted to see you all here. Delighted to have you with me. That's Hattie, Yvonne, and Annie. All those names with double letters in them. Wow, Hattie, Yvonne, and Annie. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Again, this is the Cutler on the Let's Talk Color broadcast. 1,800 seconds. We got to make every moment matter and every second significant. Of course, you all know what I do here. Every Tuesday, we look at our sources of motivation from Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And then on Thursdays, we look at Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So it is Thursday. Can you all believe the week has gone by just that quickly? So let me stop jibber jabbering, as we say in the South, and get directly to the sources, our quotes. I want to take a look at November. Let's go back and look at Sunday. Now this is Thursday, so let's go back rather and take a look at November 11th. Let's take a look at November 11th. I love you all and I love sharing this space and I thank you all so much. All right, November 11th, and this is what I wrote. It's not rude to talk while others are talking if you're talking to God. How many of you, like I did, grew up in a space, in a time, in a place where you couldn't talk at the same time? If someone else, especially if an adult were talking, you certainly couldn't interrupt, you couldn't talk. But here, this quote says, it's not rude to talk while others are talking if you are talking to God. Now, think about that. Let that soak in for a while because this is a reminder, you all. This is a reminder that your voice matters. It is a reminder that your voice matters. It is a reminder that there's always an audience for your voice, always an audience for your voice. And whenever people try to silence you, I want you to determine within yourself that perhaps they are not the audience for you in that moment and in that space. All right. They are not the, if people try to silence you, I'm glad you all finally made your way on in. I know some people ran into some technical difficulties, but thank you so much for joining. But we're talking about your voice tonight, and we're looking at the quote from November 11th. And again, it is a reminder that your voice matters. It is a reminder that there's always an audience for your voice. It is a reminder that when people try to silence you, that you should make the determination that perhaps your voice does not belong to them. Your voice matters. They are not the audience for your voice. So don't worry about that. No one, oh my goodness. I so strongly believe in our having a voice until we have to get it within our hearts and our minds and our souls that your voice matters. And no one, you all, hear me clearly, no one gets to invalidate or silence your voice. And no one gets to tell you that it's rude of you to be heard. It's not rude to be heard. No one gets to tell you that it's rude for you even having a voice. Not within the context that we're talking, not at all. Do you understand what oppression is all about? Oppression it is the silencing of one's voice, and it is the silencing of one's cause and the legitimacy, downplaying the legitimacy of another. But some of us have worked so hard and so long and so feverishly at developing the voice within us, and we fought to have our voices heard. Good evening, everybody. So glad to see all of you all. I'm talking about the value and the importance of your voice. And when people try to silence you, you have to say, you know what? You're just not the audience for my voice. Some of us have worked too hard and too long to develop the voices that we have within us. And understand, you all, you tuned in at a great time, because I want you to understand that your voice is so much more than just your vocal cords. It really is. But your voice is everything that you use to speak. Your voice is everything that you use to show up. Your voice is everything that you use to represent yourself. Your voice is everything that you use to be. That's what your voice is. I'm telling you. So people don't get to take that from you. And when you recognize the power and the value and even the influence of your voice, you treat it like the treasure that it is, because your voice is indeed a treasure. And you don't let people silence it. You don't let people silence your voice just because it makes them uncomfortable. We have seen so much of that going on lately. But people don't get to silence your voice just because it makes them uncomfortable. Do you all not know over the past few days and weeks and even months that my voice has made some people uncomfortable? I'm sure maybe yours has too. But I would rather lose people and positions. Hear me clearly. I would rather lose people and positions than to sacrifice the journey that it has taken me to develop the voice that I now have. Your journey to develop your voice has meant too much. You all do me a favor, click a thumbs up on this conversation if you don't mind. Your voice is the heart and the soul and the mind and the spirit of who you are. So your voice, you all, when you consider all of that, that means your voice could be your confidence or your shame. Your voice could be your character or your lack thereof. I'm not talking to you all here with the negative pieces, but I'm painting the picture so you can see the kinds of voices with which people speak. Your voice can be your integrity or your indecency. So even when you think you're not speaking, when you think you're not communicating, when you think you're not saying anything, your voice is being heard. It really is. And it does not matter how many people are talking, your voice is heard and can be heard. And not only is it heard, but it's recognized by someone who can specifically identify that it's you. It's kind of it's like, oh, I only have 1,800 seconds. I gotta make this matter. It's like a mother or father for that matter can put a parent, can put a child rather in the middle of about 10 or 20 other children and then walk away. And all those children can start saying mommy or daddy and calling the parent. And it's interesting that the parent will be able to spot and recognize that child's voice in the midst of 20 or 30 other children. Anybody ever had that experience? And just like the mother who recognizes the voice of the child, God will always, I have to wrap this up and bring a spiritual application to this. God will always recognize the heart and the voice of his child. Talking about your voice, he gave you that voice, so he recognizes it. He gave you that voice, and I'm just not talking about your vocal cords, but he gave you your heart, your soul, your character, your mind. He gave you all of that. He gave you your integrity. He gave you your character. He gave you all of that. So why would he not recognize it out of billions? Absolutely. Yes, he does. And I know we often hear this scripture that says, oh, the sheep hears the shepherd's voice and they recognize the shepherd's voice. But I want you to know that life has also taught me that the shepherd recognizes the voice of the sheep and the cries of the sheep and the prayers of the sheep. There's a Bible story about a man who was talking loudly because he wanted to get the attention of Jesus. And the people told him, be quiet. In 2020, they probably would have said, chill or shut up. I don't know what they would have said to him. But the story goes on to say that he cried all the more. He got louder and louder. So when they tried to silence him, he got louder. What am I saying, you all? I'm saying that for as long as you have a voice, a need, or a purpose, don't ever be silent again. If you're the kind who lurks in the shadows and you say, I don't want to talk that much, I'm not talking about just with your vocal cords. I'm talking about with all that you have, your heart, your mind, your soul, your body, everything, your sense of being, your sense of representing, your sense of showing up. That's your voice. So as long as you have a need, a voice, and a purpose, don't ever be silent again. Someone is waiting for what emanates from you. Somebody needs to hear what you have to say. Somebody needs to receive what you have to present, you all. Because if that is not the case, none of us would be here on this earth. But the core of who I am says to me that God brought us here on this earth for a purpose, for a reason, and to affect, effect, influence, and impact somebody's life. I believe that with my whole heart. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Let's go on. We only have 1,800 seconds. I hope you all enjoy the conversation. Do the thumbs up and make sure that you share. If you haven't shared this conversation, you all, I want to go on to November the 12th, which is today. Our quote for today. And it says, hang on. It says, love is more than a noun. I love English. I love the English language. I minored in English, so this whole notion of the parts of speech, verbs, adverbs, adjectives, all of those sorts of things. Love is more than a noun. It is more than a thing, is what I'm saying. So when we talk about that, I really wrote this quote. I wrote it from the perspective of trying to explain. I wrote it from the perspective of trying to explain that we sometimes misappropriate the value of words, the value of certain words. We can, what do I mean? We can talk about the color blue in terms of the abstract. We can talk about the color blue, but it really doesn't mean anything until you see it. You get that? We can talk about the color blue as an abstract, but it means nothing until you see it. We can talk about the idea of warmth or coolness, but it means very little until you actually feel it. So that's when I say we can misappropriate sometimes the use of our words. It is the same way with love. We can talk about it as a concept, to have an affinity to have, to be endeared towards. We can talk about it as an idea, as a concept, as an abstract, but I'm telling you this, it means absolutely nothing until you do it. Love means nothing until you do it. And in my humble opinion, this is just me, love is one of the most recklessly used words in our vocabulary. It is one of the most recklessly used words in our vocabulary. We use it casually. We use it carelessly. We use it frivolously. And we use it, and I'm telling you this, no matter how we say it, sometimes it just means very little until we do it. And I'm talking about love. Do, are you careful with that word love? I'm curious. Are you careful with your use of that word? Because this particular quote, it is an admonition. It challenges us. It really does to align our actions and our words. Got 1,800 seconds tonight, y'all. So we are really making all of these seconds count. But this one, this quote for November the 12th, it challenges, it puts a challenge out there for us to make sure that our words and our actions are in alignment. It challenges us to speak, to have a voice through our actions. You just can't hold on to love. You just can't manipulate love. You just can't. I'm telling you. So, what you have to do is do love. You have to do love. And love is done just like we talked about earlier. It's done through actions, through our actions, you all, and our voice. And our voice is being and doing and showing up and representing and all of that. And I'm telling you, when it comes to love, I'm telling you, I'm reminding you that love is not just a verb, not just a noun, but it's a verb. It is action, right? And one of the most, I'm gonna be transparent. One of the most off-putting things for me, one of the most off-putting things for me is for someone to tell me that they love me, but they respond inconsistently with the words that come out of their mouth. I've gone through trying times. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for tuning in. I've gone through trying times, and people who said that they loved me never showed up. I have gone through paralyzing moments, and the people whom I thought loved me left me to emotionally wonder and navigate through the season of paralysis. Talking about people who I thought I loved, who thought loved me, and people who said they loved me. It is one of the most recklessly used words in our vocabulary. But let me tell you what I did, you all. It discouraged me. It depressed me. It made me despondent, and it almost made me bitter. But before I walked out of those seasons as a bitter person, I allowed myself to walk away with a newfound power and ability. I want to share this with you all tonight. When people don't love you the way you think they should love you, when they don't respond with their actions based on what they said with their words, let me tell you all what I did. I didn't become bitter, but I walked away with a newfound power and ability. I walked away with the power and the right, because it was my right. I walked away with the power and the right to do an assessment or an evaluation of what love looks like for me. Yes, I did. And what I discovered, you all, was that love is not always done the same way. I hope I'm going to help somebody now. I haven't said it in a while, but really, I'm just trying to help save your life. I discovered that love was not done the same way. Sometimes, you all, we get upset with people because we don't think they love us. When in reality, they might not show love, give love, present love, do love like we do. And we're thinking in our minds, they don't love me. That's not the case. That is not the case. Don't let things make, I see it in the comments, don't let things make you bitter. Reconsider them and let them make you better. We're driving and riding down this highway of life together because we want to be better. So we're reading these billboards, and we're reading the billboard that says love is more than just a noun, but it is to be done. So I want to help you all. Don't get upset when you think people don't love you. Don't get upset. Reconsider. Maybe they just don't do love like I do love. You all know I grew up in the South. So I want you to think about this, that people don't do things the same way. We, I could ask all of you to prepare a banana pudding. I could ask you to fix a pot of collard greens. I could ask you to fix a pan of macaroni and cheese. I think I'm going to make myself hungry. And with me asking each of you to do that, can you imagine the variations of each dish that we would get if each of you prepare banana pudding, macaroni and cheese, and a pot of collard greens? We're going to have multiple variations. So you would do yourself a tremendous service, a tremendous favor. I'm telling you, I'm trying to help you all. You would do yourself a tremendous service and a tremendous favor if you stop getting upset with people who you want to love you, only to discover in your mind that they don't. Maybe it's not that they don't love you. Maybe I'm not. Some of us know people don't love us, but in all instances, I'm just encouraging you to reevaluate, reassess. Maybe it's just that they don't have the capacity to love you the way that you want them to. Maybe they do love you, but maybe they lack the capacity to do it the way that you do it. Of course, maybe then that puts the onus back on you, the impetus back on you to make some life choices. But I'm telling you, it's not always that people don't love you. They may lack the capacity to love you or the experience to love you like you want them to love you. I saved myself a whole lot of headaches, a whole lot of heartaches, a whole lot of therapy visits by acknowledging that people demonstrate love based on their experiences. They do. I love my friends, but I don't make them prisoners or hostages of having to reflect and demonstrate love like I do. Mm, mm, mm. I'm trying to save somebody's life. I'm telling you, if we were, it would be different. If we were in an intimate relationship where we would grow together like spouses, that is different. That's something different. But for people who live outside of the four corners of my house, you all, I've learned not to frustrate myself when they don't demonstrate love like I do, because we all have different experiences. You make macaroni and cheese differently from somebody else. You might fry chicken differently than somebody else. It's just based on experiences rather. So if love is to be done, why can't we appreciate the fact that it is done differently? Of course, again, if it's within the context of an intimate relationship, then that means we have to grow together and our experience should be the same, or at least it becomes the same. So that's a different context. I'm just talking about casual, general love where we love people, we love our friends, but we get mad because they don't do love like we do. Because when you frustrate yourself over something as powerful as love, love is powerful. And when you frustrate yourself over something as powerful as love, do you know what happens? You end up digging a hole in your soul. Have you ever seen people who just mean and nasty and dark? It might be, you all, it just might be because they are frustrated with people. And they are frustrated with people's inability to demonstrate love like they had hoped to receive it. Because it is such a powerful force. When we don't reprogram ourselves and recondition ourselves and say, I want to be better and not bitter. Better sometimes comes about when we are motivated to do something different and to think different. And I'm challenging us to think better, to think on a different plateau. It's not that they don't love me. It's just that they don't do love like I would have done. I hope that helps you all. We only have 1,800 seconds, but I'm telling you all, that spoke so much to me and something that I experienced because I almost became judgmental. I'm just being honest. I almost became judgmental. I almost became bitter. And I almost started cutting people off. And then I realized, you know what, it's just a matter of people not doing life the same way. They just don't do life the same way. And when you're talking about love as a powerful thing, when people don't do life the same way, don't do love the same way as you do, that can drive a hole right into your soul. Until you reevaluate, reassess, and reconsider, like we're doing here tonight on this platform. Thank you all so much for being here with me, with us, and sharing This is a billboard. You all, this is one of the billboards that's pushing us to do something different. All right, let me go into November 13th. It says, trust the reciprocity of relationships. Trust the reciprocity of relationships. Reciprocity means give and take, this for that. I do and you respond, you do and I respond. I wrote this particular quote because I wanted to reflect on the beauty and the benefits of relationships. Every relationship has something beautiful about it. Every relationship offers benefits to the people who are involved. I wrote this quote to offer a footnote about the accountability and the responsibility that comes with being in a relationship. I wrote it as a reminder about the connectivity and the dynamics of relationships. Relationships are dynamic, always moving. Whenever you hear the word dynamic, it means that things are constantly moving, constantly changing. And relationships have lots of dynamics. So I wrote this source of motivation. I wrote this quote because I wanted us to realize that there's beauty and there's benefit to relationships. Have you ever heard this phrase? Have you ever heard this phrase, you all? A one-sided marriage or one-sided relationship. Have you all ever heard that phrase? Now, as a concept, it means that one of the parties thinks that he or she is giving more than the other party is. It means that somebody's thinking they are doing more, working more, thinking more, participating more, responding more. That's what it means. It means that one person thinks that he or she is giving more effort than the other person. Or one may sense, I'm not deriving any kind of benefits. I'm not getting any benefits out of this. There's no accountability on the part of the other person. We're talking about reciprocal and reciprocity of relationships, all right? I don't know about you. I don't know about you. That's right. I'm reading your comments. Yes, the alignment of words and actions is like faith and works together. Yes. But I don't know about you in terms of this whole notion of relationships. But let me share how I operate. I never, and my friends can tell you this, I never want any of my friends or loved ones for that matter to think that they are better, that they are a better friend to me or a better loved one to me than I am to them. And I don't mean that in terms of materialistic things, but I don't want them to ever feel like they show up for me, but I don't show up for them. That's reciprocity. I don't ever want them to feel like they support me, but I don't support them. That's reciprocity. So when I talk about let's look at trust the reciprocity of relationships, I don't ever want any of my friends or any of my loved ones to feel like they can be there for me, but I can't be there for them. Absolutely not. That is the beauty of relationship. That is the benefit of relationship. Have you ever heard people say, you all, oh my goodness, we only 1,800 seconds and only a few left. Have you ever heard people say, I call you all the time, but you never call me? Have you ever heard them say, I text you all the time, but you never text me? And I want to say this to you all before you get upset with them, hear what they are saying with their hearts. Hear what they're saying with their hearts. And rather than hear just what they're saying with their mouths, remember, we have a voice, and our voice is more than just our vocal cords. So hear more than just their vocal cords, all right? What they may be saying, what they could be saying is that I don't sense the reciprocity here. I call you all the time. I call you first. I text you. Not the whole first, because then we get into this whole notion of keeping scores, but people say, I call you and you never call me. That can be discouraging. Don't get upset with people for saying that to you. Hear what they are saying with their hearts. They're saying, I'm not sensing the reciprocity of this relationship. I'm not feeling the benefits of the relationship. That's what they're saying. And I want to challenge you. I want to challenge us. I want to challenge myself to do inventory of our relationships, to think about what we get from relationships, but then also think about what do you give. Think about them, you all. Think about how they make you feel. And then ask yourself, do I make the other person feel the warmth that he or she makes me feel? I'm just talking about casual friendships, even business interactions. I want you to ask yourself, am I giving as much as I'm getting? I told you all some of these billboards that we are reading are really going to challenge us. And this is the sociology of how we interact with each other. Sometimes it can put us on the defense when people say, I call you all the time and you never call me. Stop, breathe, and hear the heart. The saying, I don't sense the reciprocity. I can't trust the reciprocity of our relationship. I'm telling you how I feel, and you're only listening to one part of my voice. You're listening to my mouth, but you're not listening to my heart, my soul, my spirit. I decided some time ago that it is important for the people that I love to know. Thank you. You were saying I accept the challenge. I decided that it is important for the people that I love to know that I love them. Because you see, I don't go in and out. I'm too old for this. I don't go in and out of friendships as casually as I see some people doing. I don't, this whole notion of unfriending people and all of that kind of stuff, I get it within the context of social media. But in my life, there's not a whole lot of unfriending. No, people are not meandering in and out of my life casually. Absolutely not, because there's a benefit that I derive. I'm telling you, if you are my friend, you add value to my life. And if you call me your friend, then I take the responsibility and the accountability of adding value to your life. I wear the word friend like a badge of honor because I want to make sure that I am an asset to your life and not a liability. If you call me friend, it is my heart's desire to be an asset and not a liability. That is called the reciprocity of relationship. I want you to consider what your relationships look like, what they feel like, what they sound like. Consider the model that goes something like this: abide in me, and I'll abide in you. That relationship reflects consistency and commitment. Commitment that says you will never do more for me without finding that I'll also do for you. You all, I've been with you in your homes, your living room, your cars, whatever space you've shared for the past 1,800 seconds. And it has been my heart's pleasure. Thank you all so much. I hope as you're watching that you've given a thumbs up on this conversation. I hope that you have subscribed and that you're sharing these conversations. If you don't have your book, it's over on Amazon.com or gbcutler.com as well. Do me a favor. Do me a favor again, after this conversation will have ended, go back and look at some of those inspirational moments. Look at some of those inspirational moments and let me know what you think of them. All right, I want to go off by sharing this poem with you. Because when we talk about this whole notion of reciprocity and relationships and almost walking parallel and this give and take exchange, it can almost lead you to the point of knowing what people are thinking. If you're that much in sync with them. I wrote a poem that says, I know what people are thinking. It is in this book, Who We Once Were. I know what people are thinking. No, I don't think I know or hope I know. I know that I know what thoughts they think, feelings they feel, dreams they dream, and hopes they hope. I know what people are thinking because I am them and I am with them. I have been where they were. I can be where they are. I should be where they will be. I'm every man, woman, and child that I don't know, every brother and sister whose blood doesn't flow through me, in me, or with me. I'm every man who makes a mess and seeks redemption, every woman who weeps for her transgression, every child who has been chided for choosing the wrong direction. I know what people are thinking when they smile, laugh, and cry, when they live, love, and die. I know what people are thinking when they are hurt and never healed, when they are emptied and never refilled. I know what people are thinking when their wounds find some mending, when their sorrow finds no ending, when their happiness finds no shame, but when their conscience finds no blame. I know what people are thinking when they smile through their tears, when they rejoice through their fears, when they rid themselves of strife, when they fully appreciate life. I know what people are feeling, hoping, dreaming, and yes, I know what people are thinking. Thank you all for allowing me to share this space with you. Keep your heads up and keep your hope up. Let's continue building community, maintaining connectivity. You all stay safe and stay sane. And until we come together next Tuesday, I will see you all then. Continue to spread love and continue to remember you have a voice.